Welcome once more to the Fall of Avanswell. We must once again peer deep into the past to see what comes of today. History of the Fall. This day, we see ourselves to the south, a land now cursed, a land whose history is deeply connected to what happens here. The Baron. When we speak of the Baron, we must speak of the Black Chasm, a massive barren earth, a crack which separates the continent of the Ten Lands from the Baron itself. This was why the Baron was used, to banish those seen as the enemy of the people. This is why it was the exile for those there. But it is not only those that were exiled that lived there. Though the Baron was difficult and deadly, it was not under the kingdoms, and there were those that chose to live there. Those abandoned. What became of them, no one found out. No one knew. They were lost. For all those years, vanished. 1,000 years. Were they assimilated in those forces? No one can say for sure. No one has seen for sure. Nonetheless, the continent is a place of blood, of death, of kings, barons, desert, little ring. A place that none want. A place of anger. It is so from this that dread came from this continent. Welcome, everybody! Fall of Avanswell. That little entrance there, I hope, enjoys you to see some bit more on what's going on and kind of like stuff. We'll have some more intros and information in world setting stuff. Look, It's fine. You're mostly there. Thank you, Joe. See, I wouldn't have known that, and so, like, it did escape on me. Oh, guys, you guys aren't unmuted, so now you can speak about the Dukes. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, yeah, Duke is the sound ferrets make. Also, I'm not happy with the way, how far it jumps back, so I need to talk to the artist who I had make this.
Fine, we can get it corrected. You can get it corrected.
Yep. I know. She'll be down. Yeah, but, yeah.
Anyway.
But Duke. Basically ferret noises.
Why don't we give some introductions, and I'll ask a question to everybody. And why don't we do what we did last time, is everybody roll 20, 50-20, and we'll just see what order you get, and we'll build it from there. So, everybody just roll me a d20, we'll see what order we have. And then we'll ask a question.
I don't want to roll a d20 in this. I pressed that button.
Okay. So we'll go Ixbanor, Lord Eskret, Umbrin, and then we never fixed Talas there. It says Momo character.
Yeah, deal with it.
It's fine. So, alright, so we'll introduction, and the question for today, a little bit about your character, and stuff that may or may not come up. Today is, do you have any remaining family? I mean, sometimes, some of these have been answered a little bit, but...
Apparently, yes.
In a way. So, Ixbanor. Well, I mean, like, it's probably hard for you to say, because, like, some of your relatives might just be ferrets, you know, and I'm sure...
I mean, I don't have, like, I don't know my initial family. In fact, I became my master's familiar in a freak summoning accident, or so I've been told. I wasn't quite fully aware at that point. Then he made me his familiar. But apparently, some relatives of his exist. I consider him more my family than anything. So I'd say the princess or the duchess is probably is as close as you come to family.
Well, I mean, you did skip out on the introduction of who you are and stuff like that. And
oh right, sorry. I'm Diamond Wyrm, and I play Ixbanor, the Sorcerer Ferret.
Okay. Let's have then Lord Eskret.
Hi, I'm Tiv. I exist, and I play the character Lord Eskret Von-Wimbledim. It's a pleasure to meet you all. As for the whole family thing, I can't imagine I do. People tend to die a lot these days.
Mm-hmm. So sort of like one of those things, if you do, you don't know.
Basically,
okay.
Yes.
Makes sense. Alright. Well then, Joe / Umbrin.
I'm Joe. I am playing Umbrin. The only family I have left really would be the spirits I commune with.
That's
depressing.
He's a therapist.
We all were
Why
going to
are
say
you
something.
playing two dudes who talk to ghosts?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm guessing there's another character he's playing that also talks to ghosts.
I mean, if you think
Talks
about
to
it,
ghosts and lives with 3 women.
if you also think about it, his last character also had to deal with ghosts because his dead brother.
You're not wrong. It's been a lot of
I'm slowly gearing up to do a Ghostbuster character.
Oh, which one?
I don't know. Egon.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You get to be the nerdy one. And finally, Momo, if you can give
Hi, I'm Momo, otherwise known as the person Tantus drags out on Saturdays to talk about skirmish games and war games.
Does end up being that, like, the big drag out, doesn't it?
And I am playing Talas Skullshatter, and this man probably has a lot of grandchildren, as that's a running theme with characters that I make that are old in these games, apparently.
Do you know where they would be then?
I assume some are in military, some are out killing, some are probably whatever safe cities exist.
Okay.
The
There's
capital.
Capital's the main one. There are a couple other. Yeah. There are a couple other places that possibly some of your relatives could be at, though, too. So, definitely sounds like there's some out there. All right. Well,
I mean, safe is a relative term in this world.
True. We come back and return to our characters deep within the forest, on the way from the Birchleans to Creston. During last episode, we saw that they were gathered together as a single unit and found themselves on this adventure, tasked with discovering basically what's going on with Creston, and perhaps if there are any signs of the oncoming dread forces nearby there. And if there would be any signs, to at least investigate them enough to confirm, gain information, scout things out, along with discovering what's happened to this town which has long been since virtually abandoned in the forest, and to this region. Along this difficult road, which turned from a well-worn road to little more than a trail through the forest, they were attacked by a group of vicious wargs, creatures that are not normally native to this region, which a fearsome battle came about, and the creatures were slain, and our group has rested for the evening and recovered.
And apparently like rat flesh.
Yeah, one of us got vored.
Oh. I mean, it's a rat man.
Anyone's gonna get eaten, it's gonna be the rat.
I mean, the
I'm surprised it wasn't the ferret, honestly.
Yeah, you got off pretty easy on that one.
Yeah.
You're next, buddy.
You
you
were
were
next.
its toothpick.
Honestly, it would have happened had I not literally been killed in one shot by basically being slammed against a tree.
Yeah, it just kind of smacked you really hard, and you just went like, and down you went.
Honestly, in my mind, it whacked me with its paw, and I just went pew into a tree.
Go check out last episode. I rolled a lot of crits in battle.
A lot of 20s.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the thing.
Absurd. It was
90s and
absurd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you roll like that when you're a player?
I don't know. Apparently,
Why
that's
can't
not a
I
thing
roll
for me.
like that ever.
To be fair, I actually am kind of the same way, where I roll poorly as a player and really good as a GM.
Well, I assume you've now rested and stayed here on the rock through the night, since it was kind of like midday when you got into the fight. You kind of spent the rest of the day kind of recovering wounds, gathering some supplies, and resting through the night. The morning has come, and there were no other signs of creatures. As I previously stated, the area around here is not completely quiet, but it certainly does feel like there's something a little off with the forest. Just maybe a little bit quieter, not as many creatures around. Generally speaking, though, it isn't so quiet that it's completely unnatural. It just feels a little off. And again, it might be something to do with, strange creatures being driven in this area that have disrupted the environment, or things like that. Hey, wargs are here!
As we're preparing whatever we're having for our morning meal and kind of getting ourselves ready, I'm going to summon Shadow off my arm and have them scout a little ahead.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be like, I think we were a little bit lax. I don't think anyone was expecting danger, so we definitely need to be more careful going forward. I don't think it needs to be said, but I probably could have been keeping a lookout instead of telling stories.
By the way, Talas, I don't think you've seen that yet.
I've seen weirder. There's a talking
I'm
ferret
just-
and a rat person.
Oh, I know, but I don't think you've seen me lift up my sleeve and just like a bat flies off my arm.
You're the weirdest. You are not the weirdest person here.
Yeah, this is I like Pathfinder. Pathfinder's description of weird races. It's like, weird stuff happens. It's a magical world. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Anyway.
I'm probably chilling and sharpening my weapons.
Okay.
Putting on my armor.
Yeah, certainly speaking, you can spend the time to do that and make sure you are well secured. I will also note that since you have it on your character sheets at the top there, and I forgot I wanted to use that because you are kind of heroic, we will be trying to use the hero point system from the Hero Core.
What do those do?
Mm-hmm.
So-
Technically, the hero points are not a variant rule. I mean,
I know, but I haven't used them since Pathfinder 1E where they were, so it's kind of getting me used to them again.
Every time I've played this system, we've never used them.
Whoa.
So you can spend 1 hero point to reroll a check and use the second results, or you can spend all the ones that you have to avoid death.
Yeah, you basically auto-stabilize by using
Okay.
You have to have at least one, but you use all the ones you have.
You get 1 at the start of each session, and certain deeds and actions you can take can earn you more of them during the session, and a maximum of 3. So it's just certain things. I'm going to be a little bit more lax on rewarding because, hey, you're in a very difficult and deadly world as it is right now, and joining this quest is pretty heroic in and of itself. You've chosen to basically oppose a army that has killed 90% of the continent. Kind of puts you in this point of time of, yeah, it takes something of a person to decide to do something about that. So,
2 things. So, do we just have the one then?
you just have the one, which your character should automatically have it.
Yeah, it does. That's why I was just making
Mhm.
sure.
Okay, so
But
I added another one. I figured okay, we had the one, and now we get a new one. But
I think
okay.
I will say, for your success at the last battle, you can have another one. It was a very difficult battle, so we'll have 2 this session for now. You can earn after another. But keep in mind, the big thing to spend on is rerolls.
And the other thing is, while my shadow is scouting, I'm going to do a survival check to try to get us a little bit of grub that we don't have to eat into our rations.
With that, because I am also trained in survival.
Okay.
What is your survival number?
+8.
I will roll to help you then.
Yeah, basically, depending on your skill and whether you succeed, your skill level, like trained expert, and whether you succeed or not, determines how many people you can feed with your roll.
And I believe from you, Momo, it's your check determined also by your skill in it determines how much bonus you get. I think the basic one is just +1.
This. Well,
I
it's a 9.
don't. Unfortunately, I don't think that
assume
helps.
the DC is a 10 or something.
Yeah, I would have to check exactly. It's been a little while, but I do not believe
think I
that.
find enough for us to have a meal on.
Yeah,
For 20.
yeah. So
It's just 4 of us, and one person doesn't even eat that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the
So-
thing. So, when it comes to buying food, I technically have to buy it at the same price. But I think when it comes to things like foraging, I do eat less.
So you can spend some time putting together a couple of items. You can find some like berries, small animals, edible plants. Talas assists you. You don't really add a lot to Talas, but you don't really harm either. So it's kind
I
of like
give you pleasant company
Yeah.
it's sort of like at most you like
and safety.
maybe like Umbrin points out like a small animal and you take a shot on it or something like that. That kind of thing. It's more or less so.
Huck an
you don't-
axe at it.
Just like right. It's like
no, he
it's
did
like-
throw an axe at one of them and it just like obliterated. It's like they're too small for
I guess
that.
javelins are what I have, not throwing
Okay,
axes.
that's probably a little less. But like you skewer like a pretty bushy like squirrel creature, we'll say, and it's just like
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you want to give me a I guess perception for Shadow to see what he sees as he's scouting things out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the DC is determined by the GM based on like how much food you think we can find.
Not
Okay,
great, but not horrible.
What was the base DC then for that one? Thank you, because I was busy with this. I didn't have a chance to look up in this.
There isn't a base DC. It is literally just based off. It's probably based off.
I think that 20 would be fine for this region. It's a fairly well-known region. There's plenty of things that are definitely edible in this forest. It's one of the reasons it's settled. So, yeah.
Also, I was slightly mistaken. So, you have to have a feat to get more than 2 and people. If you critically succeed, you can subsist 2 people. If you succeed, you can subsist 1, and you need a feat to do more than that.
Oh.
Also, if you fail, you become fatigued until you attain sufficient food. So basically, you can just use your. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, right. So you get some food together. You can have a little bit of a breakfast there, and get prepared. The sun will be then up fully, though again in this area of the forest, it is definitely a little more dense. This is an area that was used for logging, certainly, but you're getting a lot outside the area that's normally used for logging. So the forest is not so dense, you don't have light coming through the trees, but it's darker than, being in a lot of places. So, how though, things are here. Alright. What's the plan? Doing anything else, or are you just taking your time?
I should go to the road. I am.
Hitting the trail, I should say.
Yeah. And I'm fine with hitting the trail at this point then. We've eaten.
Oh, there it is.
I've scouted a little bit.
So, fun fact: if you go to the actors section and click and where it says the party, there's a little thing that says open sheet next to the folder, and where in there you can select your exploration activity. So we can select what we're doing for while we're traveling.
Ooh.
Oh, I have to like put that on my sheet.
Ah, okay. I see. Interesting. So I can kind of see. There's slots available for everyone.
There we go.
Okay, how do you add to it? Because I tried clicking
if you
plus
click
button and it
act,
doesn't
if you
let me do anything.
if you click it, it should bring up your character sheet, and you can select activate on your character sheet.
Okay, I have my character sheet open.
If you go to actions and then exploration.
Yeah, I went to exploration.
Oh, sorry, you have to add. Sorry, you have to hit browse and actually find the actions. So that way they're on your sheet.
Where the hell is browse?
It's literally so there. It's exploration, and then it should say browse. There should be a thing that says browse.
I do not have a thing that says browse.
Okay, go to encounters and see if it says browse there.
I see exploration, aftermath, and overview, exploration, aftermath, and stash.
No. Go to your actual sheet, your character sheet.
Oh, okay.
And then go to actions, exploration, and there should be a browse.
Browse. Okay, I'm sorry. Misunderstood.
Yep.
It's all good.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's cool. Might as well use this stuff since it's there. And
it's
a
very neat little thing that I can kind of put up that can kind of show, like actions.
Yeah, and so you can kind of see what we're doing, and we can also update it if we feel like, oh, we're going along, and then suddenly it's all like, oh, this situation changes. We can just update it without, needing to tell you, and you can just look at it when combat starts, because most of them are combat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although we should tell you if we're doing something like search, because search requires you to make hidden rolls along things that we can find.
So we got defend and scout. I don't know if either of you have to make checks for that.
No, mine is not a check.
Scout is also not a check. It just means because I'm keeping a lookout.
You are actively checking for problems.
Yeah, we get a plus. Yeah, basically we get a +1 to initiative, circumstance to initiative, if combat breaks out, because I'm keeping a lookout.
Cool. Just making sure of that.
So.
Alright,
I guess mine would be search then, because I'm looking for any...
Search means you're going to be the one who's making basically secret, who's going to be actually making the perception checks. Which I think is good, because I think you're the one with the best perception checks anyway.
Okay. And I don't know if you're doing anything particular, Eskret.
I guess making more wooden stakes.
That's
okay.
Fine.
Got it.
Alright. So you get back to Whittling. I guess then, Umbrin, please give me a perception, just to see what you have. Now, just to give you an idea of what your general perception is. Alright, 17. Alright, fine. So, you get back to the trail, and once again continue deeper into the forest. You know it's at least going to be a half a day before you arrive, maybe even longer. Because you knew it was like a day to day and a half away from where you were.
Right.
And you've only spent about half a day.
I'm taking Ixbanor's back on top of Talas.
Yeah,
we have no one else volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm using him as my lookout.
Sure. Is there a particular order you are walking in? Who is in front?
As my lookout tower.
I guess middle and back.
I'll probably take the front just to, since I'm keeping an eye out for any thing.
Okay. Who's next in line and who is in the back?
I'm probably next in line.
Okay. We'll do the middle. I guess Lord Eskret will take the lead. Right. The journey through the woods is pretty quiet in a lot of ways. And I don't mean like noise quiet like I kind of was describing earlier. I mean it is a easy trek through the forest. Certainly speaking, the path winds and twists through the forest here and there. Following small creeks, crossing over little areas. There's a point where it crosses over this one creek and you have to kind of go across this like wooden log that's in the way as the trail is kind of broken apart by it. Another time where you have to kind of skim around like a little cliff face that's going to be about 10 feet tall, but it kind of the trail kind of goes in the bottom of the cliff, and you can kind of see like trees and plants all above you at the top of this small embankment. It is trekking through a forest, simple as that. And the trail itself continues to deteriorate a lot of ways. It becomes very much so, we've taken steps, as I said, from simple rustic road to barely a trail through the forest at this point in time, as the woods have definitely encroached in this area, and it does not look like it has been particularly well maintained. There still is a bit of stuff. It seems as though someone at least at some point had let down some stones here and there to help mitigate things growing in the way, so it has left enough of a trail, but still not much of one at that. It does tend to kind of slow things down a little bit with the overgrowth, but not enough to like block you. Just kind of like occasionally you're getting like whacked in the side by various plants that have kind of overgrows bushes and vines, and at one point in time there's like probably like a little pricker bush with some berries on it or something that you kind of have to get often caught in your clothes. The afternoon will come, and we'll get into the back end of the day. Probably a few hours out from nightfall, you see signs of the trail opening up a little bit again. It seems to get a little bit wider, a little bit more well-maintained. And you're beginning to see signs of maybe smaller, maybe game trails or hunting trails going off of this road. Something that you hadn't seen for most of your travels. At least nothing that you could easily spot. Anything particular you want to do at this moment, or are you continuing on the journey? Because this is a switch in travel.
Okay.
So, is there any, like,
This kind of sign that you're maybe getting close to town at this point in time.
Yeah.
It's getting late afternoon, close to town. You think you're going to be arriving soon.
I mean, I can't think of anything special
Okay.
other than keeping my eyes peeled of danger.
I do want to, at this point in time, because it's kind of switch over, I will allow a second perception check. Let's just see what we get for this one.
Sure. Hopefully better than a 7.
There you go.
Well, since I get plus 10, I mean, for
17 wasn't particularly terrible for this
No,
mission,
but when I get plus 10...
Well, you roll a 2 then, so it's a 12.
Oh my freaking god!
I guess I could make one as well. Do I have perception? I mean,
This thing is cursed.
I use my eyeballs, my
Can
ears.
I roll better than a freaking 10?
The answer is apparently
Look at this one.
Alright. So both of you are kind of keeping a little bit of an eye out, change in the area. This might be the area you might start seeing either people or signs of people, especially because being a village deep in the woods, probably a lot of hunting is being done, and with these hunting trails, you're kind of on the eyes out for like, oh, maybe we might spot some people. It's quiet. You don't really see any people.
Quiet.
And again, it's as quiet as it's been overall in the forest, but you're not seeing signs of people. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know what you were doing, being silly. Anyway,
Me? Silly? Never, sir.
you can continue down the trail and start to approach what looks to be an opening in the area. You believe you are coming upon Crestymane, finally. From what you can see, you are coming across buildings. Buildings set within the forest itself. There is some openings to it, but it seems as though a lot of the village is just built in amongst the trees, kind of like in the small clearings where the ground has been cleared away. There isn't actually any signs except for maybe small plots where there would be like small gardens. No big farmland in this area. That seems not to be something that they really have cleared for. And trees are just everywhere.
But we're still not, like, seeing or hearing anyone.
Give me another perception check.
Yeah, because this is starting to get a little worrisome. That
This is. I just found a nice picture of a tree, a house in a forest.
finally,
okay. So, Umbrin, you're kind of like, as you kind of come in here, and you're like, well, is anybody around? And you kind of start looking around, and you're like, you don't see anybody or hear anybody. The place is fairly quiet.
yeah, that's very.
Give
worrisome.
me a
that's
nature check.
Hold on.
You roll particularly well on the
Efficiency.
perception, so I'm going to allow you to do this one.
Well, I get +8. So.
Because you're kind of on this
Woo.
trail, which seems to be heading towards what you can assume is the center of town. It is hard to tell because there is no, like, main roads. It's just sort of like, at this point in time, the ground is relatively cleared away from most brush. You know,
Right.
there is, like, areas around houses where there's kind of set up with some, like, more higher grasses, you know, little pens and stuff for various animals, little gardens, an area that are kind of like, got, like, fencing around them, stuff like that. So, as you're kind of like looking around and kind of not noticing anything, there are a few things that you do notice. You do notice that there does seem to be nothing in any of the kind of like pens that you can see for any of the animals. You can also see it looks as though the gardens that are around this area are all just a little overgrown. Like maybe they haven't been cared for a little bit. They aren't like completely wild. But, like, where there should be maybe, like, some small vegetables or herbs growing, you can tell that it's kind of going a little wild. Like, someone hasn't been caring for them.
Yeah, they haven't, like, weeded anything or...
Otherwise, the buildings seem intact. You don't see any signs of damage. You see signs of, like, nothing. The windows or doors are boarded up. Nothing sounds sign of, you know, that anything should be called. It just seems.
Guys, I'm concerned.
Also, if you guys see a black screen, you might want to drag a token onto the thing.
Yeah, I dragged my token on, and now it's stuck, and if I try to move it, it says that I'm hitting a wall.
Okay.
There you go.
There,
There you
thank
go.
you.
I moved you out of whatever wall you dropped yourself into. I keep that's something I forget. I can set these things to just be visible, and I keep forgetting to do that.
I kind of almost like the idea of like we're here somewhere, you know.
You can try to put yourself like in front of like a building or something there, yeah. Almost.
I will mention to everyone. This place seems abandoned. The gardens are returning to normal nature. I don't
So we
hear
can
or see anyone.
So we can see the town at this point.
You are in amongst the town, but as I said, the town is in the forest. You know, it is.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
They built. It's sort of like this picture of the house in amongst the trees. This is the entire village of these places. It's like a lot of houses that are built in on here with like the kind of slightly cleared land outside of them, but occasionally like fenced-in gardens or little areas where animals or little animal pens and stuff like that around the area. But it does seem like this place is a more honestly hunted community. You know,
and I'll point out that
probably
there's
like
no animals in the pens too.
Probably like total maybe like 2 or 3 dozen buildings in the entire place.
Can I take a? Can I investigate? Kind of like see if I can see any signs of struggle or something. Like maybe like someone was dragged through a bush or there's blood somewhere or something.
You're just gonna go up to one of the buildings you're passing by and check it out.
Yeah. I mean, at least check out the outside first.
Sure. You can go up to one of a nearby house to the like kind of on the trail. This certainly, as I said, you are on what seems to be the main trail into the heart of the village. So you can easily go to one of the buildings that's next to it. I believe that would just be perception unless there's another skill I'm forgetting.
No,
yeah,
there's no investigation.
I'm just making sure.
You could argue that it could be society, or a knowledge skill, but
I will allow you to either roll just a perception, or if you do want to roll something like a society check just to see signs of wear and tear on the building itself, or like damage that would be outside the purview of a kind of building like this, I would allow that too. Instead of judging either the building or just looking around.
Okay, so basically I'll be looking for unnatural damage on the building. I'll do that.
Yes.
Sure, that sounds cool.
Certainly can. Alright. Nice. So you're going to take a look around the building. And certainly speaking, this building has had age. That's one of those things about it. It's a building in the forest. You can tell that it's had a lot of wear. It's built out of a lot of simple woods. Got a very easy, kind of like maybe like a little bit of stone base for it. So it's more than a log cabin, but definitely speaking, not made to necessarily like last the test of time, and has a lot of age on it. It does though seem that kind of when you're taking a look around on the outside, that there is no like obvious signs of any kind of damage on any of the windows, but it does seem as though like, at least on this building here, the door is slightly damaged. It's hard to tell if this would be because of violence or accident. That's something you can't tell. But there is something wrong with this door a little bit. Enough, though, that you think you could, honestly speaking, even if this door is locked, probably pop it open a little easier. And this was something that was very hard to tell. You kind of actually had to, like, particularly notice this.
Okay.
While he's studying the building, could I look and see if I can find any, like, tracks at all?
Sure. You can roll survival.
As I'm walking through the village, I'm gonna draw my weapon.
Okay. You can be armed and ready. You take a look around on the outside of the building to kind of see if there's any signs of tracks and anything. Unfortunately, with the way that this is here, there isn't a lot of, like, muddy ground. There's a little bit kind of towards the front of the building that kind of connects up with the trail, but it does seem as though perhaps there hasn't been rain in a while, ground is dry, or perhaps, so there isn't really signs of anything that would stick into the ground. And if there was maybe tracks, there could have been rain in between there that's dried up from it. So it seems as though if there were tracks in this area, they are long since gone.
In my investigation, can I look into a window? And, like,
Sure.
just kind of see, yeah.
You peer into a window. The buildings tend to be a couple of rooms, and you can easily get, like, a window towards the front where the door is, nearby to there, and that kind of leads into a main room of this place. You can see signs that there is, a fireplace, a table set for dinner, probably some, like, herbs hanging up to dry in the room itself. Signs that there's, like, cooking gear. You can see, like, a pile of wood for, like, probably feeding, like, a simple, like, the fireplace. Things like that. It seems to be just a main common room.
You said there's, like, stuff up to dry in the table set. Does it look like people just left in the middle of, like, dinner, or in the middle of making dinner, or something like that?
Hard to tell. There is stuff on the table, but it's hard to tell if it's just, maybe that stuff that was there for later on in the day, or if it was set or something like that. It doesn't look like it's obviously set for a meal. It just looks like there are things left on the table.
Okay.
So it's sort of like there's cooking utensils, around. It does seem as though maybe not everything was put away, but again, honestly speaking, it's hard to tell if this place was just abandoned or if someone was taken or anything like that. You don't have signs either way that's very obvious of that. It just seems also as if someone left this behind, maybe they're planning on coming back, maybe they're not, you can't tell, and you don't know, like, if they just abandoned whatever's here, too.
Well, this is eerie.
Agreed. Maybe we should see if the door is unlocked and...
I got it. I'll jam it open in the way that I figure it out.
Yeah, you can easily kind of just pop it. It does seem as though the door was sealed up with a very simple lock. Nothing particularly difficult, but it was, sealed up at least.
Yeah. I'd actually pull out like little mini thieves tools because I do have them. Just like
Oh,
pop it
is
open.
this door like locked?
It was locked. Yes.
It was.
But as I told Wyrm, he discovered that there was damage to the door from something at some
Okay.
point in time, enough that he figured out how to basically pop the lock without having much issue. Yeah. Again, it's the kind of damage that either, honestly speaking, people might not have known about it if it was something that was long term, or if it was towards when this was created, you might not have noticed anyway. It's subtle bits of damage, basically. That's what I'm kind of saying.
If you want, I could go in. I'm good at keeping to the shadows in case there is anything.
Yeah, I am too.
Doors open, you can see inside. As I said, as I described it before, this is like the main living quarters. It seems as though the building itself is probably like 4 rooms and a small upper area, not quite a second floor, probably some kind of storage, for maybe like furniture or gear or stuff. You can probably guess by positioning, one of the rooms might be like more pantry, storage for food. Again, you're in an area that doesn't necessarily get very harsh winters, but you still probably want to store stuff for, the seasons that it's a little bit less productive. Mild winter in this region, but still, you're in the middle of the
mild winter doesn't mean year-round crops necessarily.
Exactly. So that's why, and probably maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms then.
Do you want to go in quietly with me?
Yeah, let's take a look around.
You want to take the first floor? I'll take the second.
Talas, give me perception.
Works.
Because you're on guard and probably outside.
Okay. I have to navigate the sheet. Perception.
Eskret, if you're hanging out with Talas, you can do the same.
Button.
Alright.
17's alright.
Alright, cool. I will let you know as you keep an eye out while these two wander into the building. And for the two of you then that are going inside, please give me stuff.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Alright.
Hold on.
That is a roll.
There's stealth.
You know what?
I didn't roll great either.
Okay, maybe
All right,
not. Then. I was going to say, I could use one of the hero points as a reroll on that.
Alright, so the two of you head inside, and I'm not going to lie, two of you outside, they are not being quiet. The first is, Umbrin, as you kind of step in, you did not notice there was a little bit of a lip, so you kind of thump your foot a little bit. It's not enough to, really hurt, but you're like, it's like that kind of like you hit a toe. You're like, ah, damn it! It's like that.
It's like
that.
Yeah. You kind of grunt and like, oh.
And Ixbanor, as you're kind of pushing the door, you kind of you get this creaking noise coming from it, kind of pushing the door open a little bit more. So it's like,
I was kind of thinking I try and sneak behind a broom and I knock it over.
And the Tom and Jerry ass shenanigans is going on in there.
They're trying.
When the rolls aren't that important, I'm
Try
rolling
harder,
well.
please.
As soon as it's somewhat important,
I
I
mean,
roll a 1.
I rolled a 20 and learned that, yep, it's creepy. I try and sneak into a place and I roll a 10. And I roll a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. So,
there,
you're inside the common room, as I said.
Is there food on the table or anything?
No.
Okay.
It does seem as though some stuff has been set up on the table, but it's hard to tell if that was being prepared for a meal, it could easily have placed there for later on in the day.
Right.
It does seem only maybe one area that's been kind of half set up. So if multiple people lived here, it also could have been for, a future meal that, for whatever reason, never came. You can tell that the fire had burned out. It does seem as though there's a cooking pot over top of it. There doesn't seem to be anything in it. It does look as though the last fire that was there was not cleaned up after. Like, you can see signs of the wood that was, soot, wood that burned down, that kind of thing, So, that no one cleaned up the fireplace after that. And again, the pot's still over top of the fireplace, just hasn't been prepared. You don't see any signs of any kind of food that was left out for preparing for that. As I said, there's the dried herbs. There are a number of implements nearby, like a cleaver, looks like some other kind of tools for like cooking that have been left out, that seem to have been placed like kind of like on an area, like a counter area nearby to the fireplace. Other than that, this room is pretty clear. You can see areas for coats to be hung up on the wall. There are no coats there right now. You can definitely tell where the attic area, can be kind of brought down. It does seem to be one of those things with like a trapdoor with probably like a ladder that, you can kind of pull down, or like you can maybe set up for one of the other rooms, perhaps. Hard to tell.
Okay.
And I said there's...
Is this a one-story house or a two-story house?
I said it's like more like 1.5.
Okay.
So like there's probably like crawl space up there to like store something.
Okay, gotcha. I was just looking at just basically off the picture that you had.
I know.
I
it's hard to find a very good building in a forest picture.
That's why I was just making sure, because I'm like, I'll take the upstairs. It's like, oh, there is no upstairs.
Again, it's kind of an upstairs.
Well,
but
right.
it's
There's a crawl space, but it's not. There's not a whole second floor, is what I meant.
No. It is a actual, like, pretty simple wooden floor in here too, not a dirt floor. Just to let you know about that. Again, the home is made to certainly last a while. Not super great, but also like not just a simple cabin in the woods. And the floor seems fairly clean just by looking at it too. You don't see any signs of any kind of like scuffs or dirt or anything around the area. Nothing that wouldn't normally be on a floor in the main room of a house in the woods kind of thing like that. There might be like some signs of like some like mud scrapes here and there, but they don't look like footprints or anything like that.
I'm gonna go see if I can find a pantry then.
Alright. Certainly speaking, you can find the pantry nearby. Opening the door to the pantry, there is seemingly some crates, barrels, other things hung up for drying. It seems to be maybe some jars of some kind of stuff into. It does seem to be decently stocked.
Nothing looks like it's gone bad. I can do a survival again if you want.
Survival probably would
Or
work.
Perception, or nature.
I'd say let's go for survival, kind of telling it what kind of things are bad and stuff like that there too. Yeah.
I'm basically trying to see if we can get a judgment of how long people might have been away from
I didn't think there was like a good like food/cooking check, so we can go for survival then. It does seem that most of the stuff that's in the pantry is much more for long-term stuff. So, generally speaking, most of it seems fine. There's a few things that you would kind of put on the maybe iffy, but that's the kind of thing that maybe, like there's some like cured and salted meats in like a crate. It seems as though they've been treated, but you get the feeling that maybe there was like a couple more steps for preserving them that weren't done. Gotcha. So they're maybe good, maybe bad kind of thing. That would be like, if it hasn't been, it's been a while and someone just left it here, they didn't get back to, finishing the job.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it's like there's like a jar with some pickled stuff in there. Some like that's the drying stuff. It's dried out,
Is there any there's no fresh produce or anything though? And no signs of anything like that?
Not in the pantry.
Okay. Do you smell anything off?
Me?
Yeah, I would assume you have probably have more
Nope.
attuned sense of smell than I would.
No, I do
Animal.
not.
You have the power of small and fuzzy animal. Don't you? Those will give you smell powers.
I mean,
Well,
I didn't
it
take that
would-
feat.
It would make. But I'm just. Even though my head, it would be like animals normally have a better sense of
Mhm.
smell than most humanoids. So, do you smell anything off?
Nope.
I mean, you can take a sniff if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a perception sniff.
Such a sniff. I
Sniff.
like that. That's what we're calling it, and that's what we got. Alright, you'll take a kind of like a sniff around, like see if you can smell anything, and you don't really smell anything that smells too strange, but sort of like musty forest building, probably, the dried herbs, maybe like in the kitchen, are like overpowering you a little bit. So if there is something unusual here, you're not telling me over top of that.
Is there anything you want to look at? Since I don't want to take up everything here.
Yeah, I was sorry. I've been. Well, I'm kind of tired. So I haven't been paying super close attention. So basically, we find nothing. Is basically what I'm getting though.
Pretty much, you've found nothing so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should just move on. This doesn't seem like much is happening. Is there a town? We should go to like the town square or the mayor's house.
I don't think
Or
there is a
something.
town square at this point.
There might be like more of an open area in the center of town, just a little bit, but it's still probably going to be deep in the woods. But yeah, there might be. It's not going to be like a town square like you know it, but there might be like a little bit more of center of town. You think there might be. Those two of you outside will actually, as you're kind of like sitting there and waiting for it, will take note of something that is a little unusual. Even more so, it's quieter here than it was out in the forest.
That's a good sign.
You're sitting here, like, listening, and it is very quiet. You can still hear things, but they're like, when you hear a bird, it's out in the distance. Like, out in the distance. You do not hear any, like, birds chirping or, like, little squirrels making noise nearby. You don't even really hear much bugs or anything, too. Again, it's not nighttime. It's getting close to evening, so maybe a lot of that noise comes out at night, but a little wish of wind through the trees is basically all you're hearing.
I'm gonna keep my shield ready and take a couple steps away from the house.
Okay. Yeah. Everything just seems fine. So. Anyway. I guess the two of you then are going to leave the building and rejoin the people outside.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be worth.
There just isn't a lot of evidence of whatever happened here, as far as you can see. At least not in this building. It might not be in this building. It's hard to tell. So you can easily meet with the two outside and report back what you found.
We found nothing.
You could continue down the main trail towards the center of town, as it would be. And it doesn't take you long to get there. Maybe like another little 5-minute jog, kind of thing like that. You kind of were at this one building, kind of towards the edge of this town area. As I said, being these small buildings in the woods, they're kind of a little spread out too. They're not like clustered together. So it does take you a little jog, kind of, to get to this what kind of could be called center of town. So this is an area that, certainly speaking, is still deep within the woods. There's kind of almost like a ring of trees around, as there's this kind of like little clearing with a couple more buildings around here that seem to be a little bit more clustered together, a little larger. Maybe one might be like a mayor's house, another might be like a tavern or inn or something. Another might be like a common building of some kind. They aren't particularly large, so it's kind of hard to tell a lot in many ways. But there seems to also be like this strange tree kind of like in the center of the square that has like a little area of stones kind of placed around it. And it's this kind of weird little twisted gnarled tree that's about maybe a quarter of the size of any of the other trees around here. And has only like a few kind of sparse leaves around on it. It's a very strange looking tree to have like as a center display in this place.
Can I do a nature check on the tree, see if it looks like there's something wrong with it?
Yeah.
Boom.
It looks as though the tree is dying, you think. Or maybe sick. It seems in pretty rough shape, whatever kind of tree it is. But you really can't tell. You haven't really seen a tree like this before. You can tell it's unhealthy and dying. That's easy,
right.
Because trees show a lot of those signs a lot more. But like the type of tree, what kind of tree it is, it's kind of hard to tell.
Here's something that should be a little bit more obvious, and especially being the center of town. Does it look like the paths are overgrown at all, or?
Good question. You can
If you
tell
want a survival on that, I can.
I'll just say most of this area is still pretty beaten down, kind of clear.
Okay.
If there is overgrowth, it has not heavily encroached onto these trails here yet. And it does necessarily seem like maybe some of the grasses and stuff nearby are getting a little out of control, but they haven't really hit that moment where they start encroaching on a lot of these areas that were probably well walked.
Gotcha.
Beaten down, crushed earth makes it hard for things to grow.
Yeah.
As you all are kind of milling about here, you will hear something behind you. Someone will yell out, "Halt! Who goes there?"
Yeah, what do we...
What's he look
Turn,
like?
what do we see?
Yeah.
You see what you think is human, but this man is horribly disfigured. His face looks like it's kind of half melting. He has this kind of jut off the one side of his neck that looks like there's maybe like a weird bone there, like kind of a hunchback. He's got a bow and arrow drawn, but his one arm is longer than the other. And like also the one arm is like twice as thick as the other one. He kind of walks with this kind of hunch. He's dressed as a forester, kind of like a cloak and stuff. You can kind of see his hair is scrabby from peering out from it, bald spots on it. Why are you here in Creston, Maine? Speak, invaders!
We're from Birchlings. We were sent here to check on you because no one's responded. No one's come by in a while.
How can I know you're not here to steal from us?
Well, we've been inside one house and didn't take anything. We were just looking for inhabitants. Are you all that's left? Because we haven't heard a single thing.
He'll kind of like wait for a second, kind of watching you. As I said, like his one eye is kind of like got like flesh kind of plussed around it. The other one is actually like a little lower than the other. This man is not pretty, I will tell you. Like Quasimodo is beautiful in comparison to him.
You're not an attractive man, sir.
You will not be detecting any magic from him directly or around him.
Okay.
He'll kind of like lower his bow and be like, "It is only me and my family that remain in town. The hunters come and go as they please. Those that would have stayed, have long since fled."
Why?
"We do not flee if monsters go from the north, or the threat of them. I do not think any went towards your town though I believe mostly fled to other villages to the east.
What kind of monsters appeared?
None that we saw, but you know that what comes. If I was of sound body, I would travel more. I must stay here to protect my family. I tried to send them away, and they said no. So, welcome visitors from the south. I'm sorry there are not more to greet you here. I'm the closest thing to a mayor this place has. I am Gregor Blackclaw.
Well, Gregor, I think you said Blackclaw. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Lord
That's what
Eskret Von-Wimbledim. And does your family not have a cot or something to help you along?
We do not have carts here that remain. Those from those that fled are gone, as are all few horses our town had.
Well, it doesn't have to be a big cot. I mean, surely someone could have built something in the time.
All those that could have helped have long since gone. As I said, I tried to send my family away. They chose to stay with me. So, I guard this town until the hunters return. But they come and go as they please, living in the wilds.
Does this guy look alive?
Yes? I mean, he is very, very disfigured, naturally, so it is kind of and he's, probably, 30 feet away from you guys.
He doesn't
30,
look like
40 feet
some
away.
kind of, say, undead creature.
There are no signs of, rot or death to
Okay.
him. At least that is obvious.
Alright.
Beyond his horrific appearance.
He is ugly.
I wouldn't mention that.
That's not in character.
I know. Just joking. Sir, you are hideous.
He's gonna kind of you can definitely tell that he's at least trained with the bow he had, and that he's got it. It's made in such a way to adapt to his unfortunate physiology. It's specifically made for him. He's kind of hook his bow to his shoulder and kind of put his arrow away and be like, I am sorry that there is no others here. If you seek something from this village, we cannot help you, I believe. At most, feel free to use the rooms in the inn. Drink the booze. No one else is. For food, there might be some stuff left over in the stores.
How long ago did people flee here?
It has been a thing over the last year. The last family that left was a few months ago. You wish to talk to the hunters? Some may return within a week or two. As I said, they go and come in please. But they generally come and visit once every few weeks to a month. It has been a few weeks, so they might show up soon or a little later. They still have houses here, though not families.
I'm gonna look at the rest of you. What do you think we should do?
I just shrug.
I'm gonna like more look towards Ixbanor since you're the one who has the contact with the mayor more and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think they would want us to do?
So he's offering us to stay.
He says that if you plan to stay, you can use the inn, basically. He pointed out the inn/tavern. I kind of said one building kind of looked like one. He pointed out.
Yeah. Okay. Did something happen to cause everyone to leave? What started it?
The same thing that happened everywhere. Dread.
Dun dun dun. Wait, Dread
The Dread
here?
Army?
Did
We
you already say
are-
this? Am I dumb?
We are, basically, we talked about it. This village is close to the north, where the Swamp Lorns are. So
Yep.
if they attack from the Swamp Lorns, this would be one of the first places they would come through.
I mean, I knew that. I'm just wondering if he told us, and I just totally missed it because I've been.
He implied that.
He
probably.
implied it. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
directly
Okay.
say it. He just said people have been leaving because of the threat.
Mm-hmm.
I will return to my
Okay.
patrols,
Have they-
visitors from the
ha-
south.
Has anyone? So has anyone here seen the Dread specifically?
I have not. The hunters may have seen signs of things. They travel farther and wider from the village. But I cannot guarantee any have seen anything.
Can you explain? Actually, yes. Can you explain why why there were wargs on the road?
Largs.
We ran into a
Beasts.
pack of them that attacked us.
I would talk to the hunters. None such creatures have come to this village. At most, I had to scare away a small bear a few weeks ago. But as though my body is broken, my aim is true. Anything else you wish to ask of me, travelers from the south?
Do you mind if we talk to any of your family members?
Fine. Come for dinner tonight. I will invite you, travelers from the south, as you are polite enough. My wife and daughter would perhaps love to see outsiders again. It has been quiet. He's going to kind of point over with his longer arm towards one direction. That is my house over there. Come once the sun comes down and evening falls. Settle in if you wish to stay after that at the inn.
Thank you.
I must return to guarding the city. Though perhaps only that bear may show up again. I do not wish for it to find purchase in amongst what's left here. He'll wander off and kind of, as much as he does not seem to move very well, it does seem at very least he has some training at being very quiet and stealthy.
Better than us.
So, really, no one was considerate enough to leave him like a man-sized cart so his family can help him get out? Like...
Yes.
Anyway, you're left once again in this area of the strange tree and three buildings. The kind of common building, probably Mayor's former manor, and of course, yeah.
Alright, I thought we go check out the manor.
Okay. You can easily head for the Mayor's manor. it seems as though that area is definitely locked up. This one, rather than having a lock on the door, it's got like a set of double doors on this, like, it's probably this building is about twice the size of the other ones. This one actually has a second floor, you know. Oh man, they sprung for the second floor for the mayor.
That's luxury.
Yeah, but it's got a set of double doors where it looks like they've just slid a board across the double doors on the front. So, you know, they locked it from the outside, but again, like, they're expecting animals rather than people, you feel like, maybe?
Makes sense.
So if you wanted to go inside, you very easily could. Just moving like a big old board out of the way.
Yeah, I feel like I can easily move a board.
Yeah.
Alright, you can move the board out of the way, open the doors into the mayor's manor. So, there seems to be kind of like it's a large open room that's first there. That's kind of like a combination of, and it is another like combo room. So there's like a much larger table here. It does seem like this area here has like maybe like a couple of like wooden seats with like, you know, maybe like feather cushions nearby to the fireplace, to a secondary fireplace. This one doesn't seem for cooking. There's probably like an actual kitchen in here. Like a main area with a larger table. Again, it's a simple wooden table still, but it seems a little larger. Maybe have some more guests. And a wooden staircase that leads up to the second floor in this kind of big main room. There does seem to be like 3 doors that lead off of here to different other rooms in the building. There isn't any signs of anything other than the room is empty right now.
Maybe we should look for an office. Maybe he left a journal behind or something.
It does seem as though a lot of stuff is left behind. A quick glance around and checking some of the doors, you can find out that yes, one of the doors off here does lead to what looks to be like a rudimentary office. There seems to be a couple of shelves, or a couple of bookshelves covered in various books. Most of them seem to be a mixture of things that are probably useful for here. Books on things like animal husbandry, training of animals, various herbs, simple medicine kind of things. It is a collection of various things, but all of them seem to be more practical knowledge for probably a small town. There are a few books on one of the shelves that seem to be more of, you know, stories, pleasure, but it just seems to be like one shelf out of like half a dozen kind of thing. There's a simple desk in here, wooden, and kind of what looks to be a I gotta get the right description of it. It's not like the desk itself would not have any drawers, but it looks to be like something like a chest nearby. We'll call it a chest. That seems to be kind of set up next to it and closed up. The chest has actually a big padlock on it. Anything else important in the room for me to mention that you should see? This is
the old mayor. This is the residence of the mayor, who was actually a mayor before this guy kind of became the mayor.
Yeah, as you said, he's kind of the mayor by default because no one else is here.
Yeah, it's just him and his family. So
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of like swords hanging up on the wall here too. I would say that are kind of like with kind of crossed with a mounted bear head in between them.
Look at those bear arms.
The bear's got a couple of swords.
Chest is locked.
Yeah, the bear has arms.
Yeah.
Give me a minute with this.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just step in front and start tinkering with it, and where's that dice roll?
They're like, allow me! Pulling out tiny like tools and stuff like that and kind of going into work on it.
Actually, wait, I need to check something. If I get, I think just having thieves' tools actually gives you a +1, but let me double check that real fast.
That is
I think
equipped.
that is right.
Yes. And we'll need a thievery check.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking that up. There's T. Never mind. It
just
doesn't.
lets
I
you
think.
do it.
Yeah, it lets
Yeah.
you do it.
I think I'm thinking of the better thieves tools, which I didn't have the money for. So. Okay. Gosh dang it! What's with the rolls?
Yeah, the Thieves Toolkit Infiltrator gives you a +1.
Yeah.
But they're
Would-
50 gold.
Would you like
Okay.
me to take a look at it?
Sorry, I'm a little rusty at this. Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
All right, yeah. Eskret hops down and
Mhm.
tries it as well.
Wait, what is king?
You also do not have much success with it. Lock seems locked.
Well, to be honest, I was going to relock it if I opened it anyways, so...
I like those things.
Okay,
I'm
I wanna look.
untrained in thievery, so...
How sturdy does the lock look?
I mean, I could
I
try.
would
I'm
say
actually curious what
if
the
you were-
the penalties for continuing to try are. I'm curious.
I am not sure. Let me just see here.
I like how my armor check gave me a... my armor gives me -1 to it.
I'm checking this here. There will be penalties if you critically fail, which neither of you did.
I mean, I could technically try it. I'm untrained, but I get a
You
+2
cannot pick a lock
thievery?
untrained. You have to be trained
okay.
to do it.
So
There's-
nope.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Mhm. I would
I
say
mean-
you could judge
okay,
this
so you're
seems to be
supposed
this seems to be a simple lock, meaning you don't have to make
got it.
multiple successes. But as long as
Okay.
you don't critically fail, you can do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me have another go at it.
Okay.
Mhm.
There we go.
All right, so you will make some progress towards making the lock. Okay, thumbs up. As I said, you have to make multiple successes. It's time consuming to do this.
Eskret leaves the room.
Ooh.
He said he wasn't a thief and he's not gonna
Um,
participate in this.
Okay, your tools break.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
that is unfortunate.
So your tools have been broken. They will require some repair, or replacement parts, and you scratched the hell out of this lock. So it's very obviously someone's been trying to pick it.
Give me a bit. God, done.
How strong does the lock look?
It looks to be, in game terms, a relatively simple lock.
Okay.
Which I think is DC 20.
It is DC 20.
I don't know what it is for breaking, but I think that's for picking.
I would have to look up breaking a lock.
I don't know why, but my base brain says it's 5 higher than the pick DC, but...
See if I can find it quickly on archives. But I mean, if you want to make a check, I believe that would be just a strength check, probably.
Could I argue to use my crowbar to roll as athletics?
Yes, if you're using a crowbar
Cool.
to try to break it up, that's
I
perfectly fine.
forgo my roll and roll a 20 because I have this.
Oh, so you have assurance, which allows you to forgo a skill roll, and it's going to receive a result of 10 plus proficiency bonus. Okay. Would that not be a 15 though with insurance because of your proficiency bonus?
I mean, I don't know how that works, so you have to tell me. I've never played this.
Okay, so assurance is basically meant to make you that you roll kind of like a fairly you can always roll a minimum basically. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, And here's the thing about assurance: it's 10 plus your proficiency bonus, and you do not add your attribute.
Yeah. So.
I'm expert athletics.
Oh, so you're expert. So you'd have +7. So you'd have 17.
So 17 to pop it open.
All right. Let me see if I can find those DCs and try to look it up.
Yeah, they give the DCs for picking, but not breaking. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. I assume that's probably then it's probably in the GM core then. Help look it up.
I'm guessing I can look up this nice chart of basically that's not this. So.
Oh, I think it just has durability and such because it's metal.
Oh, okay. So basic equipment stuff. So it has some basic durability.
Oh, force open. Sorry, you use your body as a lever, some other tool. You attempt to forcefully open a door, window, container, or heavy gate.
Right,
The high enough result.
Get a crowbar.
Without a crowbar or something else, you take a -2 penalty. You break the door.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So basically,
again, it's something that I have to put a DC to. So I will say,
yep.
Honestly speaking, if you're just gonna force it open, 15, the 17's fine. You can pop it open. It's not pretty. You're not trying to like get away on the like. You break it open. It's.
I was getting there.
It's a metal padlock on a wooden crate. The wood does not hold. The wooden chest. Mm-hmm. So. You probably tear the lock off with one side of the crate, when it's inside the chest. So.
Considering you can break up, considering you can remove a decent amount of locks with just a screwdriver, a crowbar would definitely get rid of it.
Yeah. So, basically, I guess the whole thing is a success. You break it, a critical success. You can pry it open without breaking it.
You can kind of break things just enough. But yeah, no, you just, you success, it's broken, it's open, there you go. The chest swings open to reveal what looks to be an amount of paperwork, a couple of books in here, a bag, and a few other small, looks like personal items, and a dagger.
Okay, so the way it's supposed to work, as far as I can tell, is yes, you set a DC, and then you can decide on a success whether it works, or whether it just deals damage to the item.
Okay. This is a chest.
They require multiple checks to try to break it.
Again, we can also say if you're just using assurance, you can just keep using
it. No, I'm just explaining the rules, how they're kind of explained.
Yep.
For the future.
So we'll remember that in the future. And
yeah.
That's it.
So if it's particularly durable, you can just have it deal damage.
Start, thumbing through them, see if there's any of them are journals or anything.
Yeah, one of them the books seem to be 3 different books. One of them seems to be a kind of registry of people that have been in the village. At least a kind of general registry since whenever it started being kept. Families, information about people coming and going, things like that. One of the books seems to be about of materials that actually is marking stuff that was shipped out of the village. Things that probably were made with trade with places like the Birchlings and other small villages. And the last one does to be some kind of general journal of the current mayor, or former mayor at this point in time.
I'm going to go towards the back of the journal and see if there's anything about why they left or anything then.
Sure. Alright, you kind of thumb through the back of the journal, kind of looking at it.
Sorry, I do want to say, I'll be looking at the trade. You said there's a trade journal, basically what went in and out.
A couple of things. Yes, there's one of those, shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can definitely take a look at it. I'll tell you, it does seem as though the last dates for shipping are about a year and a half ago in the journal. It does seem to
Okay.
stop after then, but you're not sure if they just stopped trading or
Stop recording or
stop recording. But it does seem as like, stuff like furs from various hunting, materials like that, stuff that's being brought in, metal, pop products and stuff like that. It did mark things coming in and out. As for the journal entries, they kind of discuss a lot of the normal things. It does seem to be there's some fear in the village. It does talk about how it seems as though a number of families abandoned the village suddenly and without warning, not saying anything, and talks about how, in the later ones, mentioning that this seems to be a little bit more frequent, that people just are running away. And he fears that no one will be left, and fears that he might have to escape too. He wishes... It does seem as though, actually, though, Mayor was expressing interest in staying behind. To the bitter end. But he didn't.
Something changed.
But the mayor's like dead in the basement somewhere.
At least nothing he mentioned in this journal mentions on what may or may not have changed. For him to not be.
Right.
I want to look at like the loose papers.
Alright, this seems to be a number of papers that seem related to individuals here. Looks like a couple of wills, a couple of contracts, a couple of bits of information, like, noting important marriages and stuff like that, where there might be deals between families and stuff like that. Points in time where this stuff seems to be just important paperwork to the town.
Okay.
And the rest is here: a couple trinkets, a dagger, and a bag. Anybody checking anything else out in this chest?
Someone could look in that cool bag.
Cool bag.
Yeah, I'm gonna be repairing my.
It's a mystery bag.
Is
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Bag.
repair
Well,
my.
Could be anything in there.
There is a Eskret who's not doing anything.
Eskret, do you want to check what's in the bag?
No, I'm not in the room.
Yeah, you're outside. You're in
okay.
in the main room, kind of enjoying that.
I guess when I'm done with the journal, I'll take a peek at the bag then.
Eskret, since you're out, are you still in the house though? At least.
I'll be like near the front door, but
Okay.
inside.
As you're kind of sitting there, you will see a rat kind of squeeze itself through. I'll say a mouse, a small mouse, kind of squeeze itself through a number of, like, a couple of floorboards, kind of popping out. And kind of then scurrying around, looking around the room for stuff. After a little while, it returned to that place in the floorboards and squeezed itself back in.
I said I wouldn't steal. I did not say I wouldn't commit property damage.
Mm-hmm.
I get out the crowbar
Mm-hmm.
and I start pulling up floorboards.
Okay. You can pull up some floorboards and what looks to be a kind of small tunnel that kind of leads downwards, perhaps where that mouse came out of. And, give me a perception check. Okay. You kind of take a look around under there, and it does seem as though there is a little bit of a area under the floorboards here that perhaps things like mice and stuff can be in. But otherwise, it seems you don't see anything major in this area. I don't know if that crafting check is enough to repair your
Nope.
things.
It's a DC 14. I looked it up.
Hey, Ixbanor,
Yeah.
come here.
Okay. Technically, that attempt takes 10 minutes. By the way.
Well, again, things have been going on, so you're like at this. In the meantime, we can kind of turn back towards Umbrin and Talas. Talas, you're kind of like looking through the paperwork, and Umbrin, you kind of put down the journal, and pick up the bag, you kind of shimmy it a little bit. There's coins in here, and when you take a look, there seems to be about 10 gold pieces in this bag.
I'm not going to steal from this guy.
That's actually a chunk of money to leave behind.
Yeah.
It's weird that he left that behind. Unless he's been killed.
Unless they all have. I mean, we don't know what's going on. We don't even know what's up with this guy, if he's telling the truth or not.
I don't trust him.
Alright. Ixbanor, you can head out and see that Eskret has pried up a couple of the floorboards in, like, the dining area. So this is kind of like a little to the side of where the big table is, the dining table. Again, I was going to call it dining room table, but it's not really a dining room. It's a big common room with a big old table in it for food, table chairs around it. So the dining table. And, you can come over and see what he's up to.
Fetch. Wait. I look down, so there's just a hole.
Well, what you see appears to be a mouse hole in the ground here, and the number of floorboards below. Why don't you give me a perception check?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're noodly. You don't have a lot of bones. You can fit.
Okay, so as you're kind of like looking at it, you're like, you're not sure if you can fit in that. You might be tiny, but you're not a mouse. But you will notice there's something strange. As you're kind of like looking at it, you'll kind of take a look. There's something weird on the bottom of those floorboards.
Also, I do have this, technically.
You perhaps could squeeze through there. If you wanted to.
Yeah. Because secondly, squeezing, you can squeeze, it just takes a minute, but I have quick squeeze, meaning I can do it in a round.
Yeah. And the mouse aside compared to you, you are tiny, so you might be able to squeeze through there.
Yep.
I'm fairly certain.
So what's under the other side of the floorboard, though?
It's got weird staining to it. Like staining on the bottom of the floorboard. I'm not detecting any magic from it. No. Just kind of weird dark stains on the bottom of the floorboards.
Can I try and identify if it's alchemical? Or just...
Sure. You could roll me, I guess, your alchemy check?
It'd be crafting.
Crafting.
Identify alchemical stuff as a crafting check.
Right.
Oh!
That's a pretty good check. So you're going to take a look at it and kind of try to identify it. And
I take out some little strips out of my alchemy pouch and poke at it.
There is something alchemical here, but it's in with something else that is non-alchemical.
Interesting.
And you can't quite tell what the alchemical stuff is. It does not seem to be any of the regular alchemical material that you're familiar with. So maybe
does it?
Uncommon or rare or something.
Yeah.
What's
There does
looking
appear
at?
some kind of alchemical ingredients or potions or something was spilled here. Something like that. I don't know.
It is on the
I
bottom
can't quite
side.
tell what it is.
Underside?
Oh, but that's a good point.
Unless the floorboards were turned around.
I think I come out at this point.
Sure.
There's been like a ruckus of floorboards being torn off the
Yeah,
ground.
you can see 2 of them have
I'm
torn
gonna
up the
check what the
floorboards.
trinkets were, just out of curiosity.
Sure.
And then I'll come out.
I'll just say they seem to be some personal items.
Okay.
they probably have some value, but nothing that seems to be
Yeah, still this definitely dead guy's stuff.
His dagger, trinkets, and
Yeah,
gold.
take his shit.
Hmm.
I'm gonna bring out the bag and ask what people want to do with that.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
I kneel down.
No one
I
else
look
is
at the
using it.
boards
Okay.
with my eyes.
They seem to be darkly stained, as I said, on the bottom side. You can tell that if you... Oh, I'll just tell you without making a check. You can tell if you put the boards together, the stain seems much larger than just these two boards, and does seem to be something spilled in an area, but it's on the bottom side.
Can I squeeze underneath the boards to kind of see?
Sure, there is an
into
area
it?
underneath there that you definitely will squeeze into. That does not include the mouse hole. That you
So
don't really
I
have to squeeze into.
used to be a night watch guard. Does this
Mhm.
look like dried blood?
Yes and no. There's some coloring similar to it, but there's something unusual about it. It could be something different than blood, but they're definitely, for your knowledge from that time as a guard and seeing some dried blood, it's a similar color. Maybe a little darker.
Could be blood.
Yeah.
Well, I detected something alchemical too, so maybe it's alchemy mixed with blood? Blood alchemy?
Alchemy.
I just had the urge to say a reference to an anime. Cost you an arm and a leg.
Yep. I was thinking you were going there. Anyway,
Yep.
Or maybe someone tried to clean the blood with some kind of alchemical substance and it didn't take it away.
Well, usually when you wash blood, it gets lighter, not darker.
Again, maybe if it's an alchemical item, couldn't there be some kind of reaction?
If the intention was to clean it, then it wouldn't have gotten darker. Why is it only on the bottom, though?
Is
Could
there
have flipped
anything
the
interesting
boards.
down there?
Yeah, do I see anything down there while I'm
Do you have dark vision?
No, but I can remedy that.
Why he's remedying that? Do the boards look like the same wear and color on the top? That's where on the non-stained side as the rest of the boards, because they could have been flipped, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I think perhaps happened.
There we go. I crafted a... That's kind of interesting the way that does that. But anyway, I crafted a dark vision elixir and
I'm going to say
drank
it this way. The coloration of the boards is close enough on either side that it might be very hard to tell whether they've been flipped. It seems as though all these boards on the floor here, because this is a little bit nicer of house, had some kind of initial staining on them before they were laid down. Something maybe to help preserve them a little bit more. And that has kept the coloration very similar on both sides. And there aren't any obvious signs of wearing, at least from what you can see right now.
I mean, the nails punching through would have left some damage on both sides if it had been flipped.
Can I make a perception check to try to see if I do notice anything?
Sure, make a perception check. Alright, Ixbanor.
So I have dark vision for 10 minutes now.
Yeah. You can see, again, this is a crawl space that isn't squeezing for you, but certainly something tiny would have to get into. It's definitely the area under here isn't meant to be a crawl space. Certainly. It's just it's right
the place
floor.
in between floors. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell that this stain is fairly significant size. Maybe five or six boards width and the same height. Something just spilled.
So 5 feet?
I'll say maybe a 4x4 area. Not an exact square, a kind of a splat,
Yeah, a 4-foot diameter circle. About.
Umbrin, you'll take a kind of look around, knowing kind of what you're looking for, and you will indeed find signs that this was flipped over. It does seem as though someone went to some lengths to fix up things, so it didn't seem like that. But it's also hard to tell when this occurred necessarily.
Well, right.
Someone actually did hide the fact that this was flipped over.
Once Ixbanor comes back out, I'm gonna ask a question to them.
I mean, I'll just explain it from beneath the floorboards. It seems to be about a foot. It goes from here, thump, to around over here, thump.
Could it been like some kind of alchemical thing to kill someone? These boards have been flipped.
It is
Maybe
alchemical, but I couldn't quite identify what it was.
While you're down there, you can give me another perception check.
Okay.
Because you are under there now, I would give you a little bonus. I won't mention what the bonus is, just roll and basically...
Okay.
Alright, that's kind of where I actually wanted it. So that's a very good check then. So, while you're down there, you're under these floorboards, you're getting like a little breeze? You do not see any like obvious other holes here. But you're getting like there's some kind of air circulation down here.
I'm getting a draft.
Can you follow
head
it,
towards
or is
it?
it just like holes underneath a house?
Can I follow it? Can I see where it's coming from?
You
Or
didn't really get a
feel
good
where
enough
it's coming
check for
from.
that. You're just getting that you're feeling a draft. It's just very light.
Wait. Okay. I have an idea. Pry up the floorboards beneath the stain. Beneath the floorboards beneath the stain.
Mhm.
Beneath the other
Okay.
floorboards.
Okay.
As
You're
Chris is
pry-
only paying half attention, he's
Yep.
prying up all the
Yep.
floorboards around him.
Yep. You can start prying up a whole bunch of floorboards, flipping them over.
Because I assume it's like wood, then some supports, then like a almost like some shorter supports, then more wood.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm saying
yeah.
the wood underneath that. So
Yeah.
like the second layer
Oh.
of wood.
Actually, no, it's dirt beneath there. It's got like the
okay,
kind of...
it's dirt.
So it's like, it's the floorboards, and does have those supports on the various places in the support boards, to keep the floor up. But like,
Yep.
it's, especially because it's a larger open room, but it's just dirt below.
I'm gonna start looking around on this floor
Mhm.
while they're tearing up boards and stuff, and see if I can spot any other boards that don't look like they're sitting properly or that they've
Sure.
been messed with.
You
Maybe
can make
something's not sitting right, and that's what's causing the draft.
You can make a perception, or again, if you have a skill that's maybe knowledgeable about wooden boards and stuff, you can roll that too. But I couldn't guess perception.
I mean, nature would be the closest to that.
Probably some kind of crafting, I would say, though, would be more
Yeah,
likely. You
no.
could probably, or maybe like a lore. You had like an unusual lore that might connect with that, but no, you just want
I
to use
doubt
perception.
any of the lores I have: fortune telling, genealogy, mountain, planar, or
Again,
volcanic.
there are usually options for these things,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to explore them, but I was just saying,
Yep.
like, more than just a perception, but that's the
That's
easy
fine.
case you can just do. Alright, that's a very good check. So you're going to kind of take a look around here and try to, like, check out the various boards and stuff around the area. It does seem as though this room, except for the boards that you were kind of already prying up, none of them seem necessarily able to take out very well. Though you can see, like, now that you're really, like, looking at it, there are definitely more signs that you can kind of tell apart where the boards are that were flipped and which ones were affected by this.
Yeah, I'm also checking the entire first floor.
Okay, if you want to check more of the first floor, certainly
Yeah.
you can. You will discover something in the kitchen.
Okay.
Now, this is not something that maybe necessarily would be super hidden, but it was hidden enough. It seems as though there is maybe a basement larder or something, but it looks as though in one corner of the kitchen, again, since you're looking at floorboards, particularly, I'm saying,
Right.
in the entire area, it seems as though some stuff was kind of put on top of it, so it's like maybe not used very often. Sort of like this kind of like, it's the kitchen area. It does kind of have a pantry area too, like the other building, and kind of next to the kitchen area is some stuff that's kind of like stored away, and there's some that's just put on top of this trapdoor.
I'm gonna yell out there. There's a trap door here in the kitchen. It might be a larder, and stuff was put on top of it.
I will go down and begin to move the stuff.
Yeah, I'll help move it too. I don't want to do this by myself in case there's something down there that could pop up and hurt us.
Like a direwolf.
While you're going and doing that, let's take a break. I know it's time, it's a little later, but we've been involved in an investigation, so I know we got a little bit, but we'll kind of then come back and see what, the people over by the floorboards are doing. We'll have you two clear out some things. We'll take this kind of little break here, so, yeah. Alright, everybody, we're going to take a little break, get a snack, bathroom break, any kind of thing like that we need. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, so please just break on here. Just wait a minute, and we'll be back soon. Back live then, and welcome back. So, for our break, our heroes have split into two groups. One group is still in the main room, playing around the floorboards. The other ones are clearing out the trapdoor to the larder in the kitchen. Or what you assume to be a larder, because that's probably what would be built into a kitchen with a trapdoor.
Yeah.
The two of you that are still in the common room, are you doing anything else right now? You have a bunch of the floor. You basically, I gotta say at this point in time, you've got like a quarter of the floorboards in this room tore up. You've dissected a large section of the common room.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else Ixbanor or Eskret is doing right now?
Until I am asked to stop, I am continuing to tear up floorboards.
Okay. Gotcha. Ixbanor, are you doing anything else?
I mean, I'm trying to find out where this draft is coming from until someone says otherwise.
Well, now that there's a bigger draft.
Give me a survival check.
Survival, got it.
Mm-hmm.
As a wild animal, I suck at this.
I mean, you have like magically gained sentience, so it's not as.
But I rolled super well.
You rolled pretty damn well.
I also just haven't been in the wild in a long time. I'm literally a pet.
I'm just going to tell you, this will take you a little while, but you'll kind of like start moving around and kind of seeing about the area under there. And for a long time, you kind of like, again, with the floorboards coming up, the entire like wind is changing a lot, but you can kind of, and you begin to be able to sense it less in a lot of areas. So you assume it might be coming from somewhere that's been the floorboards have been carried, taken up. So you start investigating that area, checking the side, the walls. After the longest while, the mouse hole. There's air coming from the mouse hole. Those of you in the kitchen,
Yes.
you've cleared off the trapdoor. You can open it up and reveal the way downstairs. It is, you can see that there's obviously kind of like crude ladder that kind of is at a slight angle leading down into what you assume is the larder. Once you kind of like get the stuff off the trapdoor and pull it over. It's not, the trapdoor isn't sealed, it's just, covered over, and in a particular area that wasn't really easy to see, kind of off in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'll head down.
You both of you have
also go
dark
down.
vision.
I have dark vision.
Yes.
The room is kind of claustrophobic, kind of small. It is definitely a dirt larder, as far as you can tell. It does seem as though the floor is just dirt, and two of the walls are dirt, but two of the walls also seem to be kind of like put together, which you're guessing might be, for support, like stone kind of covering the walls, like bricked stone, like when you find like it as a simple like stone wall outside. Like, it's not the foundation of the building. They've kind of probably put two of these walls up as stone that are kind of opposite sides of it to kind of give support, you're going to guess. And then you can kind of tell, like, that they're, got like a little bit of like mortar in between them, but they're like very simple walls. They're, again, not made for support, maybe made for support of the room, not of the house.
Right.
There seems to be some, like, things down here, like a couple of barrels of what seem to be marked as some kind of ale. There seems to be a small rack with, like, 4 different wine bottles on them. It probably could hold a lot more, but there's only 4. A couple crates and stuff of things that probably would be kept cold for storage, you can assume. And a few, like, other, inside, like, a few pieces of, like, furniture are down here. Like, a couple extra chairs. No signs of, like, a body or anything down here, like we were kind of talking about on break. There is not one you can see.
Maybe we should pop open the crates and barrels just to make sure something hasn't been shoved
I'm
in
gonna
there.
light my. I'm gonna pull my hooded lantern out
Okay.
to add a little bit of light to the situation. Just because, dark vision only goes so far.
Sure. You can use that to kind of shine some light on the area. Give a little bit of color to everything, too.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna squeeze into the mouse hole.
Okay. That will not take you long with your squeezing ability. Okay. What are you doing now that you've got some light on here? You can't see anything? Anything you're checking out?
Does the soil look disturbed?
Ooh. The
Oh,
soil looks pretty packed down here. Maybe not from, like, necessarily walking, but as, like, someone took some time to pack the dirt floor just to ensure that it was a proper floor. Certainly speaking, you do see signs that people have been down. Give me a survival check.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can check, you can find something a little bit.
I'll roll that for you.
Okay, 21. Not bad. There does seem to be... This room does seem to have signs that it was busy at one point. Again, downstairs, but you can see signs that there were a number of individuals kind of walking around here. With the packed dirt, there's no good footprints to kind of, like, tell you, size, weight, distribution, anything like that. You can just tell signs that... And again, it's enough signs that you can tell either someone was down here a lot, or a number of people were down here.
Okay.
And no one has, like, done anything to clean up since that time.
Interesting.
Umbrin, you doing anything else while down here? Checking anything else out?
Who currently has the crowbar?
I can hand it off to you.
Okay. Well, I could ask you to open it too, because you might have more strength than me. But I was gonna say maybe we should open these crates, just make sure there's nothing
All right.
odd
Sure.
about them.
I'll hand you my lantern. I'll start cracking open the crates.
Okay, you can crack open the crates. They seem to be a number of things that are for, like, long-term storage. Food for cold storage are a number of them. One of them seems to contain a massive amount of arrows. Like, it is a crate filled with maybe 100 arrows. Which is
That's
kind of
weird.
unusual. Yeah.
Well,
And the
that
last
would be
one...
weird just to leave here.
And the last one that you kind of open, as I said, some food ones, the arrow one, and the last one is empty. But it was sealed up. Perhaps resealed? Still
Why
weird.
would you bother resealing it if it's empty?
It's just empty. Ixbanor. You will squeeze through the hole and kind of like, because it's a mouse hole and your long noodly body can kind of go through there pretty well, you're going to kind of try to follow the area. And it's going to kind of actually go pretty far. There does seem to be like a small network of like mouse tunnels in here that go on for maybe like a dozen or so feet. And eventually, you're going to open up to an incredibly dark room somewhere. Pitch darkness.
Okay. Well,
Your
I do
dark
have the
vision's still active. I don't know how long
It's
that
10
lasts.
minutes.
Probably not active now.
Okay. I'm gonna try and fumble out my hooded lantern then.
Okay. I'm guessing it's a tiny hooded lantern because it's just adorable.
I do
then.
have a tiny hooded lantern, yes.
A tiny ferret-sized hooded lantern. It's like a toy for a little person. But you'll kind of turn it on, and you will realize you are in some kind of dirt tunnel. It goes off in two directions, like beyond where your light goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why did I even get a hooded lantern? I just realized I'm dumb. I
But
don't even need
sometimes
it.
you want to see color and not just black and white.
You can't always use the dark vision potion.
Look what I just put into chat.
Oh, light cantrip. Mm-hmm.
Just put the little light orb
That's
in
true.
the lantern.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do that. That's actually a great way to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you lantern without oil?
Yeah.
Is the hooded lantern's made of these? I think it's the one that focuses.
Yeah. So you can
Yeah.
focus the light.
The light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which isn't a bad idea. So yeah.
That's also a good way to hide the light too.
Yeah, because you can always close it up so like you can still have the spell active, but hide the light.
Yep.
So
Actually,
a little orb
that's
in
really
there.
cool.
Yeah, it seems to be a tunnel. It goes off to the left and right. The tunnel to the left, as you kind of like move the light that way, it goes kind of like 40 feet. It looks like it goes for a while and then splits off where there's a turn to the left, or like it keeps going forward, and there's a turn to the right. So you can go left and right, and there's also like another tunnel there. So there does seem to be a bunch of tunnels here. But you're not sure how far they go or where they go at all.
Let's see. What should I? Do I go back or do I not?
Choices.
So these are bigger tunnels now, like medium-sized tunnels.
Yes, this would be a medium-sized tunnel, I would say. You can tell that. It does seem to be maybe like just a medium-sized tunnel. So
Yeah. Like
a
you'd still have to
medium-sized-
hunch, but you'd be able to get through, you know.
Yeah.
Can I tell which direction would take me, like, towards the kitchen area?
Maybe roll me survival, I'll say, because you did.
That
pick
is a survival check.
Yeah.
Sense direction is survival.
Yeah, so I'll kind of like have you do that.
No.
Unfortunately, with how
I think
things,
the base DC is 15. So.
with all the twisting and turning of that like mouse tunnel, it made it very hard to tell what was here. You know, you can at most be like, I remember what tunnels I took to get back, but unfortunately, because it twisted and turned a lot of weird ways, you know, over that like, as I said, like 12-foot of like tunnel. Yeah, you're not sure.
I guess I'm squeezing back.
Huh.
Don't want to go too far without people. That's a bad idea.
So, Eskret, what do you do with the furniture in this room as you're preparing up floorboards?
Oh, it goes like onto where the floorboards have already been removed, so just kind of sideways haphazardly.
So as you've been doing this, you have now successfully removed every floorboard in this room.
When Ixbanor eventually comes up, I'm gonna be sitting on a chair like lopsided sideways, legs up on the side.
They're
I'm not sure you had to do this.
I don't think I had to either, but I needed something to do. You were taking a while.
Fair, I guess.
As I said, I actually don't know if any of you heard this, but I agreed not to steal anything, not to commit any other crimes.
Well, we should probably go check on the other people and let them know what I found some stuff, and we should probably discuss.
I have no idea where they went.
Wait, see, I kind of just assumed you knew where they went, walked off, and my character was under the floorboard, so I wouldn't have
I
seen.
think you would have heard. I yelled, "There's a larder in the kitchen."
Oh, right, you did.
covered.
You did. That's why I knew about the kitchen. Okay, yeah.
I assume Eskret was just not paying attention. He was busy with the floorboards.
Yep.
You may have heard, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They're in the kitchen. Let's go check that out.
Okay. The two of you are still in the larder. Is there anything else you want to check out?
I'm gonna pull out my mace,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna stick it in the box. Make sure like there's nothing that we can't see that's there.
So you can like poke it down in there.
Yeah.
It just seems empty. It just kind of goes through there. Doesn't seem to touch or impact anything. Nothing invisible.
I'm just trying to think of anything.
I'm gonna tap. There's 2 stone walls here, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna tap them.
Okay. Give me perception since you're hearing for something.
All right.
I mean, I'll listen as well.
Sure. Okay.
See if I help.
16 may not be enough.
The two of you kind of will listen.
It's not going to be enough.
There doesn't seem to be any obvious difference in sound if you're trying to listen for something unusual. It just kind of sounds like you're tapping on stone.
Is there anything for taking time to for a roll or no?
Yes, I believe there is. Let me check here.
If you're talking about taking 10, you need assurance.
Yeah, I think Assurance is taking a 10. I do not know if they have a take 20 on skills off the top of my head.
No, they don't in 2E.
I think it's a
Okay.
feat.
Then I'm gonna run my hand along the walls and slowly look and try another perception to see if I notice anything out of place, any stones out of place.
Sure, you can try to investigate for the different stones and stuff like that. If there's anything unusual since you were listening before. Go ahead. Okay, 24 is pretty good. So you're kind of going to be moving along and kind of listening and feeling and stuff like that, and you don't feel anything out of place. You don't notice anything out of place, but there is something a little weird. And it reminds me of something that Ixbanor said. It was a draft by one of the walls.
Okay, I'll feel around for the draft.
You can't quite tell where it comes from. I will tell you, you can feel the draft. But where it's coming from is really hard to find. Okay, you met one DC, you did not meet another DC.
Yeah, let me see something.
Oh, apparently.
I could guidance myself.
What's up? Wyrm?
I was just saying, you mentioned there's no investigation skill. I just noticed that the investigation exploration activity is basically you just recall knowledge check. So
I guess that's what I was thinking. Recall knowledge for a knowledge-based skill for certain things. That's why I've been trying to keep those as an option.
Yeah. So anything that can be used to recall knowledge can, in theory, be used to investigate.
Yeah.
That would only give me a 25 by guidance.
Yeah. Ixbanor, you can see there is a trapdoor in the kitchen open. You guess leads down to the larder they were talking about.
I go down.
Okay. Two of you will notice an Ixbanor coming down the ladder. Do you have climb speed?
I actually do.
Okay. I'm just making sure because you don't really step on the rungs on a ladder like anything else.
Yeah.
Just climb down the wood, you know.
Question.
Mhm.
Have we seen any flower here?
Ooh. Not up down here.
I'm going to say, I'll be right back. There's a draft down here. I'm going to look for flower and see, maybe spread it in the air. It might show us.
Okay.
So I'm going to go up into the kitchen and look to see if I can find any flower or any kind of thing
I will
like
tell
that.
you,
It's
you
like-
will be able to find something that is more of a powdery substance, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Whether it's flour or some other kind of material.
Or dirt.
Well, dirt's going to be probably too heavy.
It depends. Yeah, you need to find dirt. Depends on the dirt.
That's why I was thinking.
You
of
probably,
flour or
unfortunately, a
something.
lot of this area, unless you like go outside, it might not be easy to find a good fine dirt. Effective.
Yeah.
And it'd also have to be very dry.
Yeah, I know. Dry fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I agree.
Alright.
That's dumb.
I'll
I'm
come
dumb.
back down with some powder and
It wasn't necessarily that. Just
kind of go
situation.
around the wall and just sprinkle and see if I see any movement.
Sure, you can get a general idea that there does seem to be like you can kind of tell the area that the draft is coming from.
Okay.
You've certainly narrowed it down very heavily. I'm not going to make you roll a check for that. It's a great idea. You did manage to find something. Ixbanor, are you mentioning anything about what you found?
Yeah. So I went through the mouse hole. It leads into it after I couldn't quite figure out where it led direction wise, but it seemed to lead into but it led into another larger tunnel. So I think there's a way into that tunnel, probably from here.
Yes, there's a draft down there.
It's coming from over here.
Mm-hmm.
As I point at the flower getting blown a little bit.
Where is that in relation to the empty barrel?
The empty box, you mean? The empty crate?
Yeah.
It's the same wall that most of the crates and barrels are next to, I will say. Like, there's two walls, and a lot of the stuff seems to be stored most to one side, and it's kind of on that wall. I'm assuming when you were kind of searching around, you moved things slightly back, and when you were searching these things, you moved things slightly back. It's not so many that's, like, covering the wall. You know, again, this is it's a bigger house, but it is not, like, a gigantic manor. So, you know, they don't have a billion things. The only things that aren't next to this wall are the ale barrels or the wine rack with its 5 wines. The rest of the crates and other, stored things are down here next to that wall.
Interesting.
Something we're missing is just...
I'm gonna move the empty crate.
Okay, sure. It's a little heavy. Like, heavier than you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
But you can move it.
I do have +3 strength.
Yeah.
Does it have a false bottom?
What does it feel like it's made of?
It does seem to be a wooden crate.
Where's the weight centered on this thing?
The other side.
Do I hit that side?
Sure. What are you hitting it with?
Currently... I'm gonna hit it with my axe.
Okay. Again, I'm not gonna have you roll for this. Your axe hits into it and crushes through some of the wood, and then hits something with a kind of thunking noise. There seems to be metal inside the wood.
That's weird.
I'm gonna try and clear some of the wood away. What kind of metal does it look like?
It appears to be iron. Or maybe like an iron material. Just as by looking at clearing a little bit of the way. But, give me a perception check.
Right, perception's not on the list.
Yeah.
It's over here.
Yeah, it's on the left-hand side of the sheet always.
Okay. There's strange markings that seem to be etched into the metal. Can you roll me? I don't know if you're trained in this. Arcana?
Arcana, I'm not, but I have occultism.
I'll let you roll occultism. That would work too.
If you mention it, I
I
can.
think it's arcane, not arcana.
It is.
I don't know.
It is
Yeah. It's
Arcana.
Arcana.
I just remember the same. You can't quite tell much about it, but just looking at it, this seems to be something related to magic.
I'll point that out.
I'll try an occultism.
One of the smart.
I'll try an arcana.
Yeah.
Actually, first I'm going to assurance arcana.
Okay. What will that give you?
19. Oh, sorry. Plus. Nope. -2
I'll
because
also
intelligence,
guidance
17.
myself.
So give you +1.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have a 21.
The assurance will not give you it, though, for assurance arcana. I'll just tell you that. If you want to check, then still.
Got it.
I'll
Mhm.
give
Oh my
you
God.
a guidance then, too.
That works.
Mhm.
How much? What does that add?
+1.
What? No.
Not a big bonus, but a bonus, nonetheless. Okay. So you get the... So both you and Umbrin get the same. Both of you will kind of discuss it as you kind of like clear the wood away from the metal. Now, granted, there's like a little scratch in it from when an axe hit into it. But it looks to be some kind of like intricate like a pattern, like a I don't want to say like a magical circle that's been etched into this with certain kinds of runes and stuff on it. But it looks as though just by looking at it and telling at it, whatever magic was on it has been used.
Can I
we
tell
try
what
to-
it was meant
Yeah, can we
to
try
do?
to identify it?
Ooh. I'll tell you with your checks you cannot tell.
Okay.
I'll use
I
those
also
same
have
checks.
Quick identification.
Ooh. What does that give you
There is
differently?
technically a different type of action for identifying things.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Is the whole thing.
Give me
I
a
assume
sec.
that would make it 1 minute.
Yeah.
Or
So
perhaps
if you
one
wanna-
round,
yeah,
because I have quick.
You can identify magic swiftly. You can take only 1 minute when using identify magic to determine the properties of an item, ongoing effect, or location rather than 10 minutes. If you're a master, it takes 3 actions. It's a 3-action activity, and if you're legendary, it takes 1 action. So I'm just quicker at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, it's still a check, using a one of those 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you want to take your check using occult, you can make a identification check on it.
Yeah.
Since you can do a quick identification and spend a little less time doing it.
Yeah. Because arguably what we were doing before was recall knowledge, arguably.
Yeah. I will agree on that one. Unfortunately,
No,
you do try to you try to look it over, and you try to like tell what kind of magic it is. Now that you can pull that it's like some kind of magical thing, and it just can't come to mind. It seems outside of the kind of magic that you encounter.
But
Yeah,
I
well, he's-
try. Oh, after you go ahead, and then I was going to ask
Well,
if we
while
could try
he's-
religion next.
Yeah, while he does that, I'm gonna cast a spell.
Mhm.
And
Pocket
then, yep.
Duration 24 hours. You collect information from the world library store. And cast
So
spell
basic-
skill.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just gonna like pull a book out of like nowhere
Okay.
and start looking it over, and basically I can just make another check, arguably.
Okay.
If you allow it.
Sure.
Basically, I just got another check with a +1.
Yeah, go
Funny
ahead.
enough, because the other one is it's also guidance is also status, so it wouldn't stack anyway.
So I guess if you wanted to make another check with a +1, that's the same as guidance, you can. What do you want to check then? So you will roll.
Arcana again.
Okay. So you're getting another study.
Fuck.
Yeah, no, you're just not sure what this is. It's
Can I try religion?
honestly
Or no?
speaking, like I'm gonna say, you kind of both try to identify it and you just
Okay.
can't.
I mean,
I
rules
could
is
give it a
written. A
go.
critical failure means I come to the wrong conclusion.
I have a +7 religion.
If you want to try religion, you could try it too. See if you can get it.
It's actually better than my occultism.
Yeah.
I get a +6 then.
What is?
Oh,
Wow.
Jesus.
I mean,
The
that's
two of
what
you.
happens, man.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, like, the two of them are discussing things while you're listening to this. Umbrin, and like you have no idea what it is, but they're suggesting that maybe it was some kind of disintegration circle or something like that. You're not sure
Turning
it would be
people to
this,
dust.
but like it sounds weird.
Wouldn't
but-
that have destroyed the wood on the box?
No. That was the dust. That the remains were the dust of the people that soaked into the floor.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, well, maybe we should find a hidden switch or something. That'll probably tell us more.
With your box bottom of disintegration. Anyway. Now what are you doing now that you've discovered the amazing things that this box bottom can totally do?
Okay, here's what I'm gonna look for.
Mhm.
Is there a symbol anywhere on the floor?
Ooh. Give me perception, just to see that. You don't see it. Nothing.
How
nothing in
heavy
the floor.
this box was and now it's moved? Was it pushing down on anything?
Other than the floor, does not look like it.
Okay.
We can check under the floor.
It's a dirt floor.
Oh, we can check under the floor.
I just imagine Eskret like pulling out like a crowbar and like it just floating up into view. You know, we can check under the floor. And it's like it goes down and a shovel pops up, you know?
Actually, I'm gonna say Eskret. You have a keen sense of smell, right?
Sometimes.
Did you try giving a sniff from and see if you smell anything odd from this draft?
Sure. Just don't be within, just don't be in front of me in any direction.
Sure.
Go ahead and roll perception.
Sniffy, sniff.
You do detect a draft, but again, like, it smells of dirt, earth, rock, that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit of, like, general moisture of the ground. No particular smell stands out other than that.
So from sniffing all the dirt and all that down here so intensely, Eskret lets out a decent sneeze, and just a poison mist comes out of his mouth.
Okay.
Visibly like green cloud.
You might want to get that checked out. That doesn't look healthy.
Oh, it's fine. Just a little quirk. Can we see what direction the mist is floating in?
Sure. You can get me an additional perception check. So you can get something a little better. Yeah, just Click the button again for some more perception. There. Plays a little better. Certainly speaking, you can narrow things down. You have a general, like, between you and Umbrin, you've got a general idea of where this maybe passage is supposed to be, but neither of you have noticed it. It's sort of like, if it's here, you're not sure exactly where it is, but you know, like, it's in this area, you just haven't seen it. Like, it's kind of like, I have an idea there's some kind of secret here, there's signs of it, but I don't see it. It's just eluding me noticing where it is in here.
Okay, stand back. I have an idea.
All right. You're shooting a wall for some force damage. All right. Well, rock will splinter away from the one rock from the stone will all kind of splintering out as you kind of barrage it with a normal force hits. Like it's gonna kind of shatter, kind of little chunks falling all over the place. It's a mess. I don't think 3d4 plus 3 is going to be enough to break your way through whatever's here and the stone wall, but you did some damage to it. Mighty impressive damage. So.
I mean, it's that or fire.
I mean, I could try casting. You just keep casting phase bolt in that area.
Does anyone have a hammer?
Make us like itty bitty fire, and then see where the smoke goes to get a little more accurate.
I mean, we kind of already did that with the powder.
It's kind of like you.
It's like we know where the entrance is. We just don't know how to open it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of it's exactly what it is. You know where the entrance is. You have no idea how to open it. Is kind of what we're at right now.
Tall guy, I can't remember your name right now. Crowbar, go jamming it into any crevice you find that isn't on me.
Yeah, I made
In all of his crevices.
I mean, I made a crack.
Right, so I leave the room, I put the trap door down, and I block it again.
So yes.
I guess I'll try and crowbar the wall.
Okay. I guess roll athletics then? Sure. Athletics. That was a pretty good check. So, you're gonna kind of like jam some stuff into some wall, here and there, and try to like find something, kind of purchase to like kind of pry something up. And after like a couple of minutes of working at this, you'll actually get purchase on something, and the entire thing will kind of like shift a little bit. Just a little bit. It's like you didn't quite get where this door was, but you got it enough that you're like, now you can really tell where this entire door is. It does seem very stuck, though. But you know where it is now. Even more percentage. Like, you now have, like, the outline of the door.
I'm gonna go over to the wine rack. You went in the bottle, move the bottles around.
Those do not seem connected to this at all.
Okay, well...
It's a freestanding wine rack. It's fine. That was fine. That wasn't a bad one. But it was a freestanding wine rack, and they don't seem to be connected to it. But you want to try it, just in case.
I mean, we've moved all the boxes and barrels.
Yep.
We just checked the wine rack. What else was down here?
You kind of checked everything. Most likely, you assume it's something that's very hard to see, or maybe it doesn't open from this side. I'll tell you that. Either you've missed something on this side, or it doesn't open from this side, from all that you've investigated. Like, it could be something that's very small.
I'm gonna go around the other side.
You could still basically manhandle this open at this point in time. What I mean by is, you've opened it enough that, if you want to spend the time doing it...
At least if we can open it enough that
you could
we
probably
can get
open it.
that Ixbanor could squeeze in.
Oh yeah, and
You-
then I can see if I can open it from the other side.
You can definitely force it open this time if you want to just spend the time doing it.
Yeah, I'll just force it open.
Yeah.
I'll help you with it.
Like, there really isn't a critical fail on forcing this open. Your crowbar is a crowbar. It doesn't break that as easy as thieves' tools, which are more delicate. So if you just fail, you just fail, and eventually you can just get this open with a couple of checks and stuff like that. So you'll get it eventually, which you will be able to do. You will be able to eventually get this. If you just want to try to get it open enough for Ixbanor, you can do that, or you can just get it open enough that you can get your multiple. You can get their hands in there and pull it open. Honestly.
Well, I'm thinking we can at least open it up for extra. He can go in. We can continue trying to get it, but he might be able to find an actual switch or something.
I will tell you, there will be a switch on the other side, but there will also be a lot of noises that sounds like you're breaking something as you're prying it open. So that will no longer work. You have broken the door. It is open. There was a mechanism to have it open. You forced it.
Oh.
Okay, now here's the question. I look, I do squeeze in, I look, and I try and see how it would have opened.
There was a special lever that seems to have unlocked something. On the other side, you can now notice, because it's kind of damaged and stuff, one of the bricks at a DC you missed by a hair was something you could have pressed in to open it.
Oh, I knew.
No one got the perception.
I was just gonna start pushing on all the bricks.
Okay,
on the wall
I gotta ask. I gotta ask what was
Joe
DC?
missed it by 1. I set it at 26 because I wanted it to be pretty difficult, but was within all many of yours perception ranges because I saw the perceptions.
Okay, I would have had to get a 20. Got it.
I would have had to roll a 17.
Yes, it was supposed to be very difficult, but you did get multiple checks as you kept checking things. Yeah. So you had a good chance of it, and multiple people were rolling it. No one rolled.
Oh, we just didn't roll above above a 10 the entire time.
I liked prying it open. Those were some great ideas.
Yep.
You went by brute force and it worked. So
I mean, my other thought was I was going to just start pressing every brick and see if anything happened.
I mean,
that would have also tricked it if you got to that.
Yeah. I mean, what I was going to do is I was just going to go back through the hole and just try and find my way to the door from there.
I'm going to tell you, you can very well tell that remember I said it went left and right, and then the right side had another right turn? That leads right to here.
Oh my gosh, I was right there.
You were actually right next to it. But the thing is, because you failed your survival check, you did not know you were right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell.
Okay, what's on the other side of this damn door?
A tunnel. It's the exact same tunnel that Ixbanor had seen earlier. It goes forward about 10 feet, where it splits off left and right. If you look off to the left, Ixbanor can see a familiar mouse hole a little bit down the wall.
Mm-hmm. Is it rocks, dirt, or
this is dirt in this area? This is dirt.
Okay.
I guess we go right then.
Okay, so you're gonna go right. Let me think of which direction that would be in here. I'm sorry, I just have to align myself. Okay.
Opposite of the mouse hole.
Opposite of the mouse hole. Alright. So heading right, I'm not going to kind of map this out too much, but I'm basically going to say it seems to be a network of tunnels that seems to be under the village. You will find signs and places in various wells that maybe there are hidden trapdoors that lead into some of these buildings. This might be something that was built into the village for evacuation purposes. You're not sure if this is normal here or if it was something extra, but it does seem as something that's connected to a lot of the buildings here. The left path, I will tell you, by the mouse hole, does seem to go outside of the village.
Oh.
So, when you went right...
So we'll end up going back that way and...
Yeah, well, I mean, you can explore this area here. There does not seem to be anything of easy notice. If you do want to give me perception checks, does you notice anything else, you can do that. Sure. But looking around here, it seems to be a network of tunnels.
I mean, it's always worth me doing it because I get a plus 10, so...
And you can find, there isn't... I will tell you, you do not find any other secret walls or, stone walls that might be secret walls, very obviously. What you will find is there are kind of like offshoots here and there along the tunnels and multiple tunnels, and some of them lead to like ladders that head up to trapdoors. Investigating these trapdoors, you can find out they lead into these houses.
Gotcha.
They're very thick. So, you're not sure if every house has this trapdoor, but a
Maybe
lot
at
of them
least
seem to.
any important people might.
Yes.
Does it seem like it goes to the house of the guy who stayed?
You do not find a tunnel distance. At least as far as you can tell. Again, some of these are hard to tell, and as far as you've opened all of them, I'm going to assume if you want to open all the trapdoors, they do seem to lead to abandoned houses. The ones that you found.
The thing is, we don't know the town like the back of our hand, so we're not gonna. It's going to be harder to figure out.
Yeah.
Where would this one go?
Yeah. If you kind of map things out, you can tell that there are 3 tunnels that head out of this area. One that heads south, perhaps back the way you came. One that heads east, and one that heads north.
Can I make a survival to see if there's any hint of where people might have gone at some point?
Sure. And Umbrin, with you, I did interrupt a senior perception check. Yeah. Most of this area is fairly clear, though at the bottom of one of the houses, in the dirt, there's similar staining to what you saw on the bottom of the wood in the mayor's house, but in the dirt floor. Just by one of them. And it's only in that area. And it does trail off a little bit as it's going one direction, but it only trails off. And again, it trails off pretty quickly and then disappears. And because, like, this is still kind of in the middle of town, it's a network of tunnels in this area, it's really hard to tell where that trail would have gone. And it looks like maybe, like, there's a splat here, and then some drips that lead off in a little bit of direction.
Hey, Eskret. This you
Eskret. You said Eskret.
Eskret, sorry. I'm sorry. Eskret. Does this have any type of odor still to it? This substance?
I can check, but you might want to move.
Well, yeah, I'll move out. I move out of the way, obviously. I'm not gonna just stand in and be like, "Hey, does this smell?"
Sniff.
It doesn't particularly have any real odor you can tell. It does seem old, but there is something there. It's just so light you really can't tell. And the most you can tell from it is this does seem fresher than the mayor's house.
I mean, there is something quite faint, but other than that, it's newer than the mayor's.
And I'll tell you the thing that
Maybe
you can...
you'd be able to track it.
The bit you have has a little bit of chemicalness to it. That might be the alchemical side of things that Ixbanor talked about, is the smell that you're getting from it. But again, it's so light, and I will tell you, it will just disappear very quickly.
Ixbanor, if this is fresher, could you try testing this and see if it...
I can try.
If it might come up as something?
Give your crafting ability. Let's see what you get. 19.
Not bad.
It's not bad. It doesn't indeed seem more fresh than before, but you still come to the same problem of it's an alchemical mixture that you are not familiar with.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you might be able to figure out any properties of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you just can't pick up any properties about it. It seems though perhaps whatever it was mixed with, or maybe the exposure to the dirt here, even though it's fresher, has made it really hard to tell what it was about. So
Is it the same color?
this is the same color. Actually, I would say It is a little bit different color, but you assume it's because
It's
rather than
dark.
it's staining in the dirt, rather than
Yeah.
wood floorboards. But it looks to be, generally speaking, the same color.
This has to tie in with things.
I mean, also, isn't it like nighttime right now because we came here at night?
I would say by now it's probably approaching the time that you were talking about meeting with I have to check his name because I'm not going to remember it because I'm bad with that. Gregor
Hunchback.
Gregor, yeah.
and his family, yes, for dinner. So if you want, you could go probably leave some of your stuff over at the inn and go to dinner. You can after this.
Yeah, we should try and ask about this. I think it'd be a good idea to ask him about this 'cause if he knows what happened.
I don't trust this guy.
I mean, I don't either, but he also doesn't seem like a threat.
So I assume you're going to head back out the way you came, back to the mayor's house.
Yep.
You can close the door you opened. It's not going to stay closed, like if anybody wants to, since it's very broken now.
Well,
mean,
we'll
we can
put the
close
heavy
the-
box in front of it.
Yeah, okay, you could. You could put the heavy box with the carved up bottom in front of it.
And put the lid back on.
Yeah, lid back on. Don't mind the wood chunks. Anyway, yeah, you kind of. I mean,
Look, and then we close
So-
the door to the larder, and then we.
Umbrin, you and Talas will definitely see as you get back into the main room. There are no floorboards left. They've been pried up and stacked up.
Why have all the floorboards been taken away?
I was bored.
Are you trying to do some DIY?
Somewhat?
Uh-huh.
Are you
Uh-huh.
planning to rebuild the floor for some reason?
No, I just had nothing better to do.
Maybe take a nap next time, or whittle.
You have your collection.
Are you
Not
offering
I mean-
to manage
floorboard.
my portfolio?
I mean, you got a lot more wood to whittle with now.
No, not the floorboard.
Yep. Anyway, why don't we leave things here as you would be dropping, I guess, checking into the inn quickly, I guess, in quotations, before heading to meet with Gregor and his family to have, I guess, a wonderful dinner and ask him some questions. So, you've certainly found some unusual things in this place.
Yeah,
What
I
does it all
mean,
mean?
it's kind of like the thing that's a little creepy, but it's not quite, but it's not quite, Silent Hill creepy.
Well, I mean, there's no weird fog or strange, radio noises yet.
Mhm.
That's later.
If there's radio noise, I'd be really worried.
This weird crackling. What does that mean?
Radios don't exist in this world.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who knows? All right, then. Thank you, everybody, for
Why is
joining
Gregor
us.
wearing a pyramid on his head?
Don't mind that. That's my hat. It's a fine hat that I had. Makes me look fancy.
Fireball.
No. I guess, unless
Also,
anybody
before
else.
we leave, I grabbed the bag of stuff.
Which bag?
I
of
grabbed
stuff?
the bag of gold. I already had the
Oh.
bag of gold on me.
Oh, you already had the bag of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Of 10 gold, which is a lot of money since it's a silver-based society.
Yep.
You got a lot of.
Have a group loot pit thing.
Yes, but only Tantus can update it.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
If you
I'm
want to
making
put
the
10
Stat.
gold in there.
It's the stats section in the party. I don't know how
Can
you'd
I-
give us permission to that.
Ooh, I'll have to look into that. I'll look into that to get permissions for the stash. So, yeah, I'll see about that. Anyway. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us. Yep. I assume, unless anybody else has anything to shout out, Wyrm, you had your normal shout outs.
Yeah, I'm Diamond Wyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and I'll probably be streaming Friday.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Check out Wyrm. Myself, make sure to join us next week for the next episode. Make sure to check out my tabletop-related informational-based streams, which I do on Wednesdays and Thursdays for the day. Check out gaming stuff. Always go over to YouTube side of things to check out anything that's there. Check out Discuss Tabletop Saturdays at 6. And, of course, always check out my social media. Well, thank you. I am, of course, the GM here, Tension Snowman, and the person that hopefully you enjoy running the game here today. I had a fun time. It was a little silly. Interesting investigation. And hopefully next time I can find a little bit more stuff and talk to this interesting individual. Anyway, until then, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time. Farewell, goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.